Have you ever seen a man sell the wind, yet demand his payments in pure gold? We are told to beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing. But what happens when the wolf isn't wearing wool, but a custom-made Italian suit, driving a shiny black SUV into the village of desperate people? Welcome back to our channel, where the whispers of our ancestors come alive. Today, we journey to the modernizing village of Oparaku, a story of faith, greed, and very harsh reality check. If you have ever met someone who uses the name of the divine to line their own pockets, you need to hear the story. Sit back, adjust your volume, and listen closely to the tale of Prophet Ezekiel, the fake prophet. Our story begins in Oparaku. Oparaku was a beautiful place, a town caught between the old ways of the ancestors and the new world. The people here were hard-working farmers, traders, and artisans. But recently, a severe drought had hit the land. Crops were failing, businesses were slow. The people were hungry not just for food, but for hope. And as our elder says, when the goat is desperate, it will even greet the butcher with a smile. The atmosphere in Oparaku was heavy with vulnerability. It was the perfect soil for the very poisonous seed to be planted. Enter Prophet Ezekiel. He didn't arrive on foot like the humble preachers of old. Oh no, he arrived in a convoy, dust billowed behind his sleek, air-conditioned jeep. He wore suits that shone like the midday sun and shoes that had never known mud. Ezekiel was a master of words. He had a voice like honey and thunder mixed together. He set up a massive tent at the edge of the market square. His sermons weren't about love, peace, or kindness. They were about enemies. They were about hidden wealth. And most importantly, they were about sowing seeds. You are poor because your faith is cheap. If you want a millionaire's blessing, you cannot give a beggar's offering. Bring your yams. Bring your goods, bring the title deeds of your land, sow the seed, and watch heaven rain dollars on you. The problem was Ezekiel's miracles were actually orchestrated show. A blind man would suddenly see, but no one from Oparaku knew who the blind man was. A crippled woman would walk, but she always left town the very next morning. They were actors paid by Ezekiel to deceive the masses. And the villagers fell for it. They emptied their savings. They gave away their harvest. The most heartbreaking victim was Mama Nkechi, a widow whose only son, Obi, was terribly sick with a mysterious fever. The hospital in the city was too expensive, and Ezekiel had convinced her that doctors were agents of evil. Mama Nkechi brought her last prized possession to the altar, the gold necklace her late husband gave her. Ezekiel snatched it with a greedy smile, slapped Obi on the forehead, pushed him to the ground, and declared him healed by fire. But Obi did not get better. He got worse. The tension in Oparaku began to boil. While the village grew poorer, Ezekiel grew fatter. He began building a mansion on the land he had claimed from a desperate farmer. Some wise elders like Papa Emeka tried to warn the people. A river that forgets its source will dry up. Papa Emeka would say, "This man is milking you dry." But the brainwashed villagers turned against the elders, calling them enemies of progress. Then Ezekiel made a fatal mistake of arrogance. To prove he was the most powerful man in the region, he announced a massive night vigil. He declared he would go to the dreaded Ajo Ohia, the evil forest, where the ancestors were said to rest, and he would burn down the sacred ancient shrine to prove his dominance. He charged an entrance fee for villagers to come and watch the spectacle. The night of the vigil arrived. The wind howled through the trees. The villagers stood at a safe distance, trembling. Ezekiel, flanked by his bodyguards, marched to the edge of the forest, shouting empty incantation, holding a jerrycan of petrol. Ezekiel raised his torch, but before he could strike a match, a figure emerged from the deep shadow of the forest. It wasn't a demon. It wasn't an angry deity. It was an old rat-haired beggar. The beggar walked slowly, leaning on a crooked stick. Ezekiel, trying to keep up his act, pointed at the beggar. "I bind you! Fall down and disappear," he shouted. The beggar did not fall. He kept walking until he stood face to face with prophet. Then the beggar reached into his dirty robes and pulled out a gold necklace. "Mama Nkechi's gold necklace," the crowd gasped. The beggar spoke and his voice echoed from the trees, not from his mouth. "You promised healing for this gold, yet the widow's son lies dying. You are not a man of the divine. Ezekiel, you are a merchant of lies." Suddenly, Ezekiel's bodyguard recognized the beggar. It was one of Ezekiel's own hired actor, the man he had paid to pretend to be crippled 3 villages ago. Ezekiel had cheated the actor out of his payment, and the actor had tracked him down, finding Mama Nkechi's necklace in Ezekiel's discarded bag. The illusion was shattered. The miracle was a fraud. Mama Nkechi pushed through the crowd and snatched her necklace back from the actor and glared at Ezekiel. The elder stepped forward. The very people who had worshipped him just hours ago now saw him for what he truly was, a parasite. Ezekiel tried to run to his sleek black SUV, but the villagers had already blocked the road. They didn't harm him, no, they did something worse. They stripped him off his expensive suit, took back every yam, every goat, and every penny they could find in his mansion. They chased Prophet Ezekiel out of Oparaku in his underwear, forcing him to walk back to the city on that very feet he claimed were too holy to touch the dust. The village of Oparaku learned a hard lesson that day. Obi eventually recovered, not by fake shouting, but through proper medicine. But when Mama Nkechi sold the necklace in the city. My friend, the moral of the story is clear. True faith cannot be bought, and miracles are not for sale. Our desperation should never make us blind to the truth. A true spiritual leader guides the flock. They do not flint them. If someone demands your livelihood in exchange for a blessing, remember Ezekiel, the prophet of dust. What would you have done if you were in Mama Nkechi's shoe? Have you ever encountered the prophet Ezekiel in your own life? Let me know in the comment section below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of African storytelling, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and share this video with everyone who needs to hear it. It helps the channel to grow and keep our stories alive. Until next time, keep your eyes open. See you later. Bye, friends.